I'm Noah from American Trucks, and today we're taking a look at the Eibach Pro Truck front coilovers for a 1.75 to 4-inch lift fitting the 2014 to 2018 Silverado 1500. Now these coilovers are for the Silverado owner who's looking to raise and dial their truck ride height while gaining some on and off-road suspension performance. These are just front coilovers that are fully adjustable, which means you can change the ride height to match what you might have the truck's rear set to with lift blocks or something along those lines. Now these coilovers can raise the front end of your Silverado from 1.75 to 4 inches, and these can be set anywhere in between those two heights as well, so you really can dial your truck in and get it sitting exactly how you want it. And this also opens the door for flexibility with running different tire sizes as well, which is a huge bonus.
This kit is going to work best with a 33-inch tire, and with a 33-inch tire, you're not going to have any rubbing issues.
These are going to ride and perform a lot better than a leveling kit or something like that, since these are designed to be higher than the factory suspension setup. At first glance, this suspension kit is really beefy, and you can really tell that every aspect of this was engineered to get maximum performance out of your truck. Now the shock bodies themselves are 2 inches wide and coated in Eibach's premium protective coating to combat corrosion and keep the ride height adjustable. Now around the shock bodies are powder-coated ERO off-road race springs, and they offer a nice and sturdy ride without compromising comfort and streetability. Then to cap everything off, there's these 6061 pure T6 billet aluminum shock mounts that are strong but really lightweight, and all the aluminum on the suspension is hard anodized, and as a whole everything should last a good long while because of the protective finish that's on top of it. Now this coilover kit is also backed by a 1-year warranty, but I really doubt you'll need to use that because these kits are tested thoroughly to ensure perfect matching suspension on all 4 corners. Now on to price. These front coilovers from Eibach come in around $1,000. Not too bad when you consider that this is a drop-in, fully adjustable front coilover kit, and it's not just a set of springs or a leveling kit. Now in my opinion, these Eibachs set the bar for upgraded truck suspension in today's market. Moving on to installation, this is gonna fall right at 2 out of 3 on the difficulty meter. It's safe to expect about a 2-hour job time to install these guys, especially if you don't have access to a lift and you're doing the job at home. Now without further ado, we're gonna show you how to get these guys bolted up over in the install bay.
Tools required for this install include a couple different size air guns, a hammer, 15 and 17 millimeter wrenches, 15 and 18 millimeter ratcheting wrenches, a ball joint remover tool, a hook, 10, 15, and 17 millimeter swivel sockets, a 21 millimeter deep socket, a 7/32 Allen wrench, it's a little bit cut off, and a pry bar. What's up guys? Today we're installing a coilover kit on our Silverado, so let's get started. So the first thing we're gonna do is take a 10 millimeter socket to remove these 2 10 millimeter bolts holding our ABS line brackets into place. And we pop that bracket out of place. We're gonna throw our bolt back in so we don't lose it. We'll do the same thing on the front. Next, we can remove our sway bar end link. Now you're gonna wanna do this one after another on each side. That way we have it completely freed up. We can pull our sway bar up to get our end link out. So I've got a 15 millimeter socket and wrench to take this off. Next, we can come to our tie rod end. We're gonna take a 21 millimeter socket to remove this nut and pop our ball joint out of the knuckle. Now you can push up a little bit on your impact gun to pop it out. And then we'll push that off to the side. Next, we can come to our upper control arm ball joint. We have an 18 millimeter nut that we can take an 18 millimeter ratcheting wrench to remove. Now we're gonna leave that nut a couple threads on, and then we can bang the knuckle with a hammer to break our ball joint free. So now I'm just gonna turn the knuckle to the side to get a better angle, and we'll take a hammer and smack the knuckle here to pop that free. Now, since our foolproof method of hitting it with a hammer didn't work, we're on to the next best thing, which is our ball joint remover tool. We have the top here sitting on the top of the knuckle, the bottom is on the stud, and it'll tighten and pop that free. So I've got a 19mm wrench to tighten down this bolt. That'll put the pressure on it and pop our ball joint out. So now with our ball joint popped free, we can pull down on the upper control arm and remove that nut the rest of the way. Next, we can come to the top of our strut tower and loosen up these 3 18mm nuts. So I've got an 18mm ratcheting wrench to get these off. Now with the nuts at the top of our strut tower loosened, we can come down to the bottom and remove our 2 lower strut bolts. I've got a 17mm socket for our bolt side and a 17mm wrench for the nut side. Now for the second one, just be careful of the lower control arm coming down a little bit. Now with our lower strut bolts removed, we can go back up top and fully remove our nuts and pull our strut out. So we'll get back in there with that same 18mm ratcheting wrench to do so. Now once we have our strut removed on one side, we can hop over to the other side and do that same process. So now with our factory strut removed, we can install our new one. So we're gonna slide this up into place and then get our 3 nuts hand threaded on the top of our studs. So next we can come to our lower strut mount. We're going to be threading in our factory bolts with the washer. And then we can drop our other washer and nut on the other side. Do the same thing for our second hole. And now we can take our 17mm socket and wrench to tighten those down. Now we can go back up top and take a 15mm ratcheting wrench to tighten down our 3 nuts. Next, we can raise up our knuckle to our upper control arm, get our upper ball joint through the hole, and then thread on our nut. So now we'll raise up our knuckle, get our stud into place. We can take a pry bar to pry down on our ball joint. And then we'll grab our nut and thread that on the other side. Next, we can grab an 18mm ratcheting wrench to tighten down our nut. Now our ball joint is spinning, so I've got a 7/32 Allen wrench. I cut a little bit off the top because as this stud comes through, the bottom of the wrench likes to bottom out on the axle and you're not able to get it out. So we'll get that on the bottom of our stud and tighten this down. Next, we can reconnect our tie rod end into the knuckle. We'll slide that through and get our nut on the other side. And now we'll grab our 21mm socket and tighten that down. Next, we can reconnect our brackets for our ABS and brake line. And then we can tighten those down with our 10mm socket. So now at this point, the only thing we have left to put back together is our sway bar end links. So you're gonna repeat the whole process you just did on this side on the other side because we're gonna get our end links in at the same time. So now we can slide our end link in between the lower control arm and the sway bar, get our bolt through, and then get our bushing and our nut on top. Now you can do the same thing on the other side before we tighten this down. I've already done that off camera. So we'll get a 15mm socket and wrench to tighten this side down. And then we'll do that same thing on the other side. Now our coilovers are adjustable. We have our spanner wrench included in the kit. Now this little nub is going to go into our lower spring perch. You can twist to the right and left to lower and raise it. So that'll wrap up this review and install of the Eibach Pro Truck front coilovers for 1.75 to 4-inch lift for your 2014 to 18 Silverado 1500. Thank you for watching, and for all things Silverado, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.